These are changes that go significantly further than the other designated companies who are subject to the obligations of Article 6.3. One example is the fact that Apple, and Apple alone amongst all designated gatekeepers for browsers, has been required to replace Safari on the dock or in the home screen for the browser selected on the choice screen.
First of all, we would like to say that we agree with Apple that the hot seat should be default on Android as well. So we will be raising this tomorrow.
I'm James Heppel from Open Web Advocacy, and we have a question about the hot seat. We heard yesterday that Apple's choice screen implementation now guards the chosen browser, the hot seat, meaning that it's placed prominently at the center of the dock on the home screen, replacing the gatekeeper browser. In contrast, Google has not made these changes and continues to use a far less effective design. We know from our conversations with browser vendors that having the hot seat leads to higher retention rates and reduces the dominance of the operating system, gatekeeper, and their browser. By not placing the user's chosen browser on the hot seat, Google is undermining Article 6.3 and making the choice screen significantly less effective. Just setting the default browser is not enough to nullify the advantage that Google guards their own browser via their control of Android's default setup. Given that Google already benefits from the hot seat on iOS, and we have heard Google mention this about the hot seat, our question is, can Google commit to implementing an equivalent hot seat placement for browsers on Android? And if so, when can we expect that to roll out? Thank you.
Taking the last, we'll come to the meat of your question, but the last part of your question, will we commit today to do X, Y, or Z? I don't suspect that today is going to be the place where we're making public commitments to do X, Y, or Z, just to prepare everyone for that. But we'll certainly react to the substance and give you an indication of where we are currently in our thinking and in our dialogue with the Commission. So with that, perhaps I can kick it to colleagues. We can hit these 3 points: the single search, the friction points, as you put it, the choice screens for Samsung browser, and then also the hot seat issue, which was a hot topic yesterday, I understand also. Thank you.
And then the question from the Open Web Advocacy on hot seat. Again, our approach to this is informed by what the DMA says, and Article 6.3 is clearly about defaults. A hot seat is not a default. So a default is a service that will trigger as a result of a generic user action, as I mentioned earlier. And so if a user goes to do something, for example, clicks on a URL, it would be the browser that is used in order to then fulfill that specific user intent. The placement of a particular app on a device has nothing to do with the default. And so that's our view in respect of how the hot seat question fits with, what we're talking about when we talk about compliance with the DMA. Thanks.
So just coming back to the hot seat and to your response there, I wanted to say that if you select a browser via a choice screen and it downloads to page 13 of your apps, I'm not sure that necessarily complies with 6.3 and would contest your interpretation of that. I mean, recital 49 of the DMA says that gatekeepers should allow end users to easily change default settings when those default settings favour their own software applications and services. And Article 6.3 also says that the gatekeeper shall allow and technically enable end users to easily change default settings, including by prompting via choice screen. So from our point of view, we think both of those things do require you to place the selected browser in the hot seat. And obviously it's already been done by other gatekeepers as well. Thank you.
In respect of the hot seat, I mean, again, can understand, your perspective on things, but again, it has to come back to what's said in the DMA. Even your reference to the recital refers to default. A default means a very, very specific thing. And it hasn't to do with placement on a device, and in any event on Androids it's extremely easy for users to move around where their apps are placed when they're downloaded. So again, we don't think this gives rise to any questions of non-compliance with the DMA. And so again here our position is as I would have stated earlier.
Hi there, John Osby from Open Web Advocacy. We have a few comments. We think that the DMA introduces choice screens to remove the default advantage given to the gatekeeper. However, for choice screens to be effective, you need two things. First, an effective choice screen design, and second, to actually receive what Gatekeeper gives themselves when they're the default. For browsers, Apple places their browser in the most prominent position, visible on every screen page of the home screen. If a user like myself, say for example, choose to use Firefox for the choice screen, it will simply be placed on the last available home screen panel. But then every single time a user unlocks their phone, guess what they will see? Safari, not Firefox, because Safari will be the one sitting in the hot seat. So by not placing the user's chosen browser in that location, also known as the hot seat, we believe that Apple is undermining 6.3 and making the choice screen ineffective. Simply setting the default browser is not sufficient to nullify the advantage the Gatekeeper grants their own browser via their control of the operating system's default setup. So we believe that the simplest solution to prevent this form of self-preferencing is that when a user selects their new default browser, it replaces the Gatekeeper's browser in the hot seat. This is the only fair and reasonable solution. And Brendan, you say Safari is no way privileged. Aren't you giving Safari a default privileged position on the entire OS, which no other browser receives when it's on the hot seat? Thank you.